the interim president of the Long Island Railroad and Metro North Railroad, Kathy Rinaldi. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Grand Central Madison.
Since the day it opened in 1913, Grand Central Terminal has been one of the most iconic buildings in the world. For over a century, it's been both an architectural marvel and a vital transportation hub. It's not every day that such a historic landmark gets a major upgrade. Grand Central Madison is a brand new, massive 714,000 square foot terminal located under the original terminal, 15 stories below Madison Avenue, stretching from 43rd to 48th Streets, the size of the Chrysler Building laid on its side. It's the capstone of several infrastructure projects for a growing region with ever-evolving transportation needs. When the Long Island Railroad began operation in 1834, the population of Nassau and Suffolk counties was 37,000. Today, it's nearly 3 million, and the LIRR is the busiest commuter railroad in North America. To accommodate this growth, we invested billions of dollars to increase capacity. The full scope of work is a feat of engineering, encompassing the digging of new tunnels, reconstruction of the Herald Interlocking, the busiest rail junction in the United States, building a brand new rail yard in the Bronx, and laying miles and miles of new track. Thanks to these improvements, the LIRR was able to redesign schedules and expand service for the first time in 100 years. The new timetables increase overall service by 40%, creating more efficient, reliable, and frequent travel options for customers on all 11 branches. About half of all trains will terminate at Grand Central Madison instead of Penn Station. That translates to priceless time saved for the 45% of riders who commute to the east side, about 20 minutes each way. It also allows more seamless regional travel between Long Island, the Bronx, the Hudson Valley, and Connecticut. The new schedules are available online at mta.info/LIRR 2023 and on the new Train Time app.
Please welcome the Chair and CEO of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, Janno Lieber.
Wow, this is extraordinary. Isn't this great?
Yes.
Come on, New Yorkers, don't be so cynical. This is incredible. This is incredible. Look how beautiful this is. I want to acknowledge, we'll be hearing from momentarily, our great majority leader, our Senator, Chuck Schumer, who has done an amazing, amazing job delivering for New York. Thank you, Chuck Schumer. Our Congressman Jerry Nadler, who represents this area. Thank you, Jerry, for being such a great fighter for us in Washington. I don't know if Carolyn Maloney is here. I want to thank her for her stewardship of this project for many, many years. Carolyn Maloney. Janno Lieber, you'll be hearing from him briefly. Not briefly, hopefully briefly. We have a train to catch. It wasn't Freudian. I meant that. But truly, the definition of leadership and perseverance to get something quite incredible done. It was amazing to see you in operation there, Dan. But thank you. Kathy Rinaldi, our Metro North leader, our president of the whole operation here to make sure that the trains are running on time. But Kathy Rinaldi, thank you for all you do with Long Island Railroad. Steve Goodman, our Federal Transit Administration and Regional 2 administrators. Thank you, Steve. Keep the money coming. We're excited about doing so much more. Anthony Simon, the sheet metal smart. There's smart Anthony too. Catherine Garcia, who's the head of statewide operations for all of us. Our borough president, Mark Levine, has joined us. I also see that we have Steve Malone in the house here, coming all the way from Long Island. council members. Let's see, who else do we have here? That's all I got on my list. Keith Powers, I'm looking right at you, Keith Powers. Thank you. And I also want to thank the men and women of labor who got the job done. This place is yours. You saw that this work is dangerous. John Durso and so many others, Manny Arasich, unbelievable what was accomplished here. This is truly beautiful. It really is breathtaking. And it's just an extraordinary testament to the hard work that our labor unions and our friends have accomplished once again. You know, today we make history. Finally, people have a chance to experience something that is magnificent, that is worthy of New York. And the story can be told literally in decades. It can be told over the years. It's been 112 years since the last extension of the Long Island Railroad. Long time in coming. 110 years since the first new major terminal here in New York. 110 years. 67 years since the last major terminal was built in this country. 60 years ago, people who were big dreamers thought of this very project. Back in 1963, they envisioned this, they talked about this. And 25 years ago, the whole thing started. My gosh. A lot of people have come and gone. A lot of people believed in this project who are not there with us today. But we honor them for being the visionaries that we're known for here in this great state. It's long overdue. We won't worry about that. It's here. The day has finally arrived. When we start focusing on the needs of our commuters, hard-working men and women looking to get to their jobs or get back home to their families, and again, we're making a positive difference in the lives of everyday New Yorkers. That's what excites me. I love infrastructure, I love building, I love blowing things up, blowing up tunnels, starting over, it's all right, I love it all. But when I know that we're improving the quality of life for our commuters coming in from Long Island, coming in from Queens, that they can finally get something that is so precious and is more time back in their lives. Think about what you can do. Extra 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 80 minutes. You can work out, get a good exercise program going in the morning. You can pack the kids' lunches, make sure you're not late for their soccer game. A little time for yourself. I'm a mom, I know that's a rare commodity. But you don't have to navigate also that hectic commute across Midtown. And the logic of it is just so genius. We're trying to bring people, many of them want to come to the east side. This is a vibrant part of our city. But you have to go all the way across to Penn Station, and we'll get to that another time, but not too far in the future. We're fixing Penn Station. I want to make that as glorious as this. And then you have to backtrack all the way across the city. So, when you're on a train, every minute matters. And we have had the most brilliant people engineering this feat for such a long time. And I think about not just people collectively, but I stay in hotels in Midtown all the time, one in particular. And I become friends with everybody, and some of the people who work there have to get up really early in the morning and make that commute to go to their jobs. They go across town and have to come back. Just to give the precious gift of 40 more minutes to the woman who cleans the rooms in the hotels, or people work the elevators, make the food for us, that is what I'm so happy about. And I want to thank everybody who believed in this project, who never gave up on it. And I believe that we start talking about making our commutes easier, but also safer, just as the mayor and I announced not that long ago that our subway trains, for example, have seen a 20% decline in crime since we announced our initiative back in October to add more cops and cameras on the trains, help people who need care. 20% drop. I know we even have better numbers to announce, but I'm not going to announce them today. Give people that sense of confidence, give them time back, their job is waiting for them, and there's no stopping us now. We are on the verge comeback story with this project alone. We're going to have we're adding 274 more trains each weekday. How is that possible, Jano? That's amazing. 274 more trains each weekday between Long Island and Midtown. It's a 41% increase in service. Improvements are going to be connecting other parts of our city. Metro North, 4 metro stations in the Bronx so people can get connected to the good paying jobs right here. That is life changing. That is how we eliminate transit deserts. We also, from the third track, cutting down delays. I mean, the trains are really running on time. That's not just a cliche. Kathy, they're really running on time. The numbers are extraordinary. And I don't have to bring anyone back to that nightmare, the summer of hell or nightmare, whatever, 2017. Some of you still may have PTSD. But my gosh, we didn't just say that's how it has to be. Sorry about that. Commuters, we said that's not good enough. So under Kathy's leadership, Jano's leadership, we've really improved our on-time numbers. So it's reliable. It's reliable. You know you're going to get home in time to catch that game. You know you're going to get to work on time. That's what makes a difference. And we have so many more ideas on how we're going to reduce congestion. It's good for the environment. We're people taking public transportation. Yes, that's why we do this. But also continue to work with our Penn Station reconstruction, 2nd Avenue subway, working on the Gateway Tunnel. We have so much more work to do. And I'll let the majority speak to those because he is behind every single one of them. He believes in this. He believes in this. But with the shops and the restaurants and the studying space and the artwork, New Yorkers are going to be very different. No more looking at the ground and just kind of shuffling along, looking at your iPhone. People are going to look up. And look up. Feel good about life. Feel that step in their feet, that energy that we lost for a few years during that pandemic when there was so much uncertainty, felt so beaten down. I'm here to declare that the opening of this incredible terminal and this connection, making life easier for commuters. This city is back, and we are back stronger than ever before. And I am so excited we're taking that train. And with that, let me open up to our majority leader, the one and only Chuck Schumer.
We are one great team. We really are. I get the money and she gets to spend it. And it's fun for both of us. But anyway, it is great to be here today. I thank our governor for her leadership. You know, it's great to have a great partner. I can tell you through the years, I've always fought hard to bring money to New York. And sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes it's not so easy. Because the partners you have different ideas and different ways of doing things and don't really want to be much part of a team. But when you can find somebody who cares about helping the people, number one, and working as a teammate to get this done, it makes the ability of those of us like Jerry and myself to get federal dollars here so much easier. And then when you know it's going to be spent well, it makes you even fight harder for more dollars. So I want to thank our governor for the good job that she has done. Now, we're here today because the train, finally, is quite literally about to leave the station. Tens of thousands of transit riders in Long Island and elsewhere can breathe a sigh of relief. Thousands and thousands and thousands of Long Islanders and others who work on the east side will get the convenience they crave. They won't have to cross town in the rain, sleet, snow, and heat and wind just to get to work. And finally, we're also able, after years where people said our transit system is finished, close to finished, we are rolling up our sleeves and expanding this transit system, this lifeblood of New York, everywhere. From East Side Access to Gateway to Metro North All of it making the lives of New Yorkers easier and tens of thousands of new good-paying union jobs throughout the New York metropolitan area. Now, it's been quite a journey. The average New Yorker is asking himself, why did it take so effing long? Well, I've been here through much of it. I funded a lot of it. But let me tell you the story. It's a long saga of how New York works and sometimes doesn't work. This idea actually started, and I want to be as bipartisan as possible. This idea started with one Alphonse D'Amato, who was then the senator from New York. And he had the idea. And he was gracious. When I beat him for Senate in '98, he said, this is one idea that I hope you'll carry through. And it wasn't easy, and we began to carry through on it. But why did it take so effing long? Well, then, what happened? 9/11. The tragedy of 9/11. And we had to spend the next 4 or 5 years working on bringing back New York and bringing all the money that we brought to New York and building us back. And then finally, we're beginning to deal with 9/11, and we get a Democratic Senate for the first time in 2006, and I put the first $2.7 billion into this project. Well, so we began to move forward. But then George Bush, as president, and the financial crisis said, no more, got to use the money elsewhere. And of course, then Sandy came in. We got $60 billion for Sandy, but it wasn't going East Side Access, it was going to rebuild New York once again. And then after Sandy, something else happened that stopped us from getting the money. It's a 5-letter word beginning with T. Trump. He didn't want to give a nickel to New York Transit. So then he's gone. And then what happens? We're ready to put some more help in. COVID. But actually, with the $14 billion, $15 billion that I got that saved mass transit during COVID actually helped this go forward. Because the governor didn't have to put her funds into getting mass transit going, but instead could continue funding this East Side Access project. So it took a long time, and there were a lot of hardheads who wanted to stop us from working, but we have a harder head. And East Side Access got done, and we're so happy about it. I kept my hard hat on all throughout, and here we are. The train is about to leave the station at Long Wall. Hallelujah. Why is it so important? Well, we talked about it. You don't have that long commute. You know, the New York transit system was built sort of funny. If you lived in Long Island, you had to go to the west side. If you lived in Westchester, you had to go to Grand Central in the east side. That was a system that didn't make that much sense. Didn't mean that everyone who lived on Long Island said, oh, I'll get a job on the west side, and everyone who lived in Westchester said, oh, I'll get a job on the east side. So this East Side Access fixes the first part of the problem. Going from Long Island, you can go to either Penn Station or to Grand Central. And then I was able to cut a deal, and I want to thank Jeno and Tony Kosha of Amtrak that said, we are now going to have the trains from Westchester build 4 new stations in the Bronx, as the governor mentioned, the East Bronx, a transit desert that needs help. And they will be able to go to Penn Station. So when that is finished, finally, our metropolitan commuter transit system will have a real degree of rationality. No matter which suburb you live in, you can work on either east side or west side and have a good, convenient commute. You don't have to walk through the rain and the sleet and the snow and the wind and the heat to get to work once you get off the train. So this is a great thing happening. And I just want to say this. Once these two dreams are completed, the one today and the one later, the transit system like New York will shine like a gem on top of the Chrysler Building. It's now a great gem, but it'll be totally polished and as beautiful as it ever can be together. So, we gotta keep working. Transit is our lifeblood. This city is the greatest city in the world because millions and millions of people can commute throughout the metropolitan area easier than any other city in the country. The reason we're better than every other city. The reason, New York, people forget this. Oh, no one wants to live in big cities? In the 2010 census, New York State had 8.1 million people. In the 2020 census, New York had 8.9 million people. We gained 800,000 people from all across the country and all across the world, each one of them in a certain sense immigrants, whether they be immigrants from other parts of the country or here. Because people want to live in this city. And they want to live in a densely populated, diverse place where people learn from each other, bump into each other, and interact with each other. But the only way we can do that is keep expanding mass transit. Our rail and our buses, and every other kind of mass transit that there is. If our mass transit stays static, New York stays static. But what we've shown here today, and what we will continue to show New York, is that our mass transit is going to keep moving. Because there's one thing about New York, and one thing about Chuck Schumer: we're never static. Thank you, everybody. It's a great afternoon, and I'm honored to be part of it. Now, couldn't get this all done unless you had real faith in the MTA and the person who runs it, who's going to do a hardworking, on the merits, terrific job. And we got just the guy. I've known him for years and years and years. And when he took this job, I said, I'm glad you're taking this job because you're the best guy for the job, General Leader.